Welcome to the Sportside podcast. This is the first one of what should be a really fun, interesting, and exciting series. The whole point of Sportside and the Sportside app is to connect people through sport. And some of my best memories growing up involved my mates knocking for me to go for a kick around or go on my BMX. Yes, I was that cool. Around where I lived growing up, and sport was a huge part of my life. Participating in sport goes beyond physical health. It can reduce stress, engage yourself socially, and reduce anxiety and improve mental health. However, nearly 40% of people across the UK are not participating in sport whatsoever. Sportside want to change that. We want to help connect millions of people, find more clubs, teams, and events and communities to get on with and enjoy the sports they love. Sport is more than just a game. It has the power to transform lives. Download the Sportside app at the App Store and Play Stores now. We're very lucky to have Vic Williamson with us, who is ex-GB Cyclist and current GB Bobsleigh. And just want to get into a little bit about how your sporting journey is incredibly varied and incredibly impressive, with huge ups and downs along the way. You started athletics age 10, but what was it about sport and being active that got you hooked? Did you have some sporting role models at home, at school, or on TV?
So I think when I was younger, I was very much, I've always been like a need for speed person. It's kind of, I've always enjoyed, even in primary school, it was very much like I just always wanted to win the short races at sports day and stuff. So I think that side of things has just literally been very much natural. But I've had quite a few role models, I guess. In my early days of athletics, I used to look up to the likes of, well, actually, she's an endurance athlete, but it was kind of the era that Kelly Holmes really made her like big impact on the athletics world, and Jess Ennis, and just watching strong females, I guess, succeed, and particularly on that big stage at the Olympics, as well as that. Obviously, Beijing in 2008 was a massive games at the time, and that was my first, I guess, distinct Olympic memory, if you like. And I remember watching even Victoria Pendleton in cycling back then, and just thinking, I need to get to an Olympic Games. This is what I want to do. So that was kind of a turning point as to when I thought I really want to, do this as a career.
It's interesting you say about Olympics being like your key motivating factors and these female role models, because unfortunately, with the visibility of women's sport not as common as it is with male athletes, we are relying on these huge showcase events like the Olympics to really get that frontline image of female role models. And how do you think having not only sporting role models, but specifically more female role models can help encourage more women get involved in sport at every level?
I think it's massive, and I think the times, particularly over the last couple of years, are massively changing, specifically in kind of women's power sports. Again, it's especially in cycling, you can see there's a clear difference between kind of participation in like women's endurance and then women's sprint, because I guess it comes from the stigma of kind of being a power athlete, being more, more muscular, and again, that kind of body image thing comes into play. But I think now that the times are changing with things like CrossFit and, the likes of, again, CrossFit role models, people like, UK athlete Sam Briggs, and that people are actually now, I guess, socially accepting that women can also be muscular, which again is also helping sport to move forward. But again, it's more important, I think, than ever that we do have female role models in elite sport. I mean, even the likes of Dina Asher-Smith at the minute, I'm sure she's inspiring loads of women. She's young. She engages with the public and her fans and stuff. And I think she's just a great role model to, all those young girls that want to get into track and field.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with having more female role models, because it is hard. If you can't see it, you can't be it, is that phrase that just gets used all the time with that stuff. And like I was saying with the Olympics, we're sort of reliant on, but now you've got the likes of like Sam Briggs, big old bicep Briggs. She's probably got one of the biggest female athlete followings on social media, and I think social media, especially, I know you're very active yourself, is a really key way of engaging like these young female athletes, because they might not be getting the broadcast deals, they might not be getting the platforms in a bigger sense, but you can create your own platform through social media. And I know social media has some stigma attached to it. How important do you think it is for the athletes to create their own sort of brands themselves to inspire others?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, like, obviously social media has its flaws, and at times, you know, I've had to say to myself, right, you need to put your phone down. I think you've been on Instagram for long enough now. But I think if it's used appropriately, it's a great tool, and it's something that that you can use, like I said, to kind of help others engage and motivate people, but as well for your self brand. Obviously now a lot of brands kind of want you to post and stuff on social media, and it's kind of these deals and partnerships that athletes are now able to create with people that make sure that you can concentrate solely on your sport. So bobsleigh is actually not lottery funded. They unfortunately lost funding at I think it was, I guess, around the summer of 2019. So it's really important, obviously, that, you know, at the minute GB bobsleigh athletes have sponsorships in order to remain full time, so we don't have to kind of balance that, you know, which I'm sure you've had, you know, at some point in your career, maybe trying to balance like a job and trying to be a professional athlete. It's really hard. So
That's just the narrative of being a female athlete, isn't it?
yeah,
Like
it's
how many balls do you
super
juggle? Let's just chuck another one in,
it's
honestly.
super hard. So yeah, obviously I'm in a position where I'm very much supported by Under Armour. I've been with them since 2017, and if it wasn't for them, at the minute I currently wouldn't be able to be full time. I'd have to be on board with I'd have to try and, you know, maybe do some PT stuff alongside, or just trying to get drips and drabs in and around my training. But I'm in a fortunate position where I have got some sponsors to enable me to still be full time. So.
And it's super important to have people like yourselves who are making a career in that way, because it opens the door for other athletes to gain sponsorships and partnerships to make their careers more sustainable, because unfortunately having to juggle it is a key part of being an elite athlete. As a female in a power-based sport, do you think your relationship with your body has changed or developed over the years from a body image perspective? And alongside that, do you think sport is a key channel in allowing the everyday person, and specifically females, to have a more healthy relationship with their body? Like, I know growing up at the moment, there's a lot of pressures on social media of how to look and what's real and what's not. And I think sport potentially can channel your perception of your own body image in a slightly more positive way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I touched on before, I think the stigma of kind of muscular women is changing. Don't get me wrong, it still probably is there slightly, but it's definitely changing, and it's something that I have, I guess, learned to love now, because for me, you know, the stronger I am, and almost to a certain degree, providing that my power to weight ratio is okay, that, you know, the more muscular I am, if it's good muscle and I can use it, then it means that I'm going to be better at my job, you know, at what I do. So for me, it's been, like I said, there have been times when I try and wear normal clothes, you know, I'm trying to get in skinny jeans, and you're just like trying on countless pairs, and you're like, I'm not going to get my quads and glutes in these jeans. But, you know, there have been times when I have struggled, but I think now I'm in a place where that I can just appreciate my body for what it is, and the you know, the job that it does, and how incredible it is, and what it allows me to do. And again, I think that's where the kind of sport helps, I guess, young girls to, you know, to look at that and say, oh wow, you know, look at the shape that they're in. They're physically in great shape, they're muscular, and they're achieving great things with it.
Yeah, and it allows girls to just say like, oh, my body is for a higher purpose. My body is
Yeah.
not here to be
Yeah,
looked at or approved by anybody else. I'm actually proud of what I've built. And having people like yourself who are really open about being proud for their body type and knowing that it's going to help you be successful in your sport is super important for the young girls growing up, to have that positive association with having not the average or societal perception of what's a good body type. And yeah, it makes jeans really, really hard to find, but we'll just buy belts, you know,
Exactly.
belts for the win.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, I just do they make clothes for athletic people? I don't know.
I don't know, but
I
someone
think
needs
that,
to start a brand. That's my next business idea.
mate, absolutely go for it because there's only so many pairs of leggings we can all wear.
Yeah.
And I think gone are the times of the thigh gap. No one wants a thigh gap anymore. We're
No,
over it.
that's why, again, times are changing. You know, I know the Kardashians have obviously had, you know, quite a bit of surgery, well, involved and stuff. But again, it's, you know, this kind of image of stick thin is going out the window, and kind of curves are coming back in along with muscle. So
In terms of your sporting journey, could you just give us a brief overview? I know this probably not very brief, but just give us a brief overview. And obviously, you started cycling via Girls for Gold, having previously done athletics. Was hugely successful in that. Obviously, had your injury in 2016. I would say bounced back, but got back to perform on a world stage, and then transferred over to bobsleigh later on. So if you're just going to go into a little bit of detail into your journey and some key moments in there, that'd be great.
yeah, so obviously, as you said, I started cycling back in 2010. So I came through a Girls for Gold program, which was actually led by Victoria Pendleton, who I mentioned was very much my idol in kind of, you know, watching the 2008 games. So basically they were looking to pick up powerful women from other sports. And at the time I did athletics, and my athletics coach said, you know, let's go and see what you're like on a bike. So yeah, literally just, I mean, again, very much shortened this time frame here, but did the Girls for Gold and was successful in that talent ID program, and ended up on the GB junior team.
Was it something like you were 1 in 3,000 or something made it through that?
Well, actually, they tested quite a few, up and down the country at the time, and obviously it was aimed more for 18 to 25-year-olds, but at the time I was kind of 15, 16. But obviously they just thought, oh, we'll kind of put her along with these girls, and yeah, so I was the one successful applicant of about 3,000.
That's not a bad stat, and I will put this in here now. I did actually apply for this Girls for Gold thing.
Did you?
Needless to say, yep. Well, look where we are. You're in a GB team. I am not. I had a BMX and it got nicked off the park on the road. That's about as far as I got on track cycling. Don't put me on a bike unless it's static and on a very low resistance. But yeah, congrats. Congrats on that one.
So I did that basically made my first, I guess, major championships in 2011, which was Junior World Champs. Came away with 2 silvers and a bronze. So it was at this point that I thought, you know, I've only just started. I'm obviously going to be all right at this cycling world. So yeah, basically just carried on from there. Made my first Senior World Champs debut in 2013 in Minsk, where I actually won a bronze medal at the World Champs at 19. So that was my first
That is unreal.
career high, if you like, in the senior world. And then unfortunately things were pretty much on track for me to make Rio, and then in the January 2016 I crashed and broke my neck, back and pelvis, which wasn't ideal. So that meant then that the games was very much out of the picture. Obviously at the time I thought I was going to, you know, be a hero and make the games 6 months later after breaking my neck, back and pelvis, but I was wrong. So yeah, had a.
I mean, I'm all for enthusiasm, but I think I'm no surgeon, but there might be a couple issues with that. I would say.
Yes, the team doctor flew out to Holland, and I remember kind of distinctly. I was, you know, laying in the hospital bed in Holland, and he was like, "Right, I need to tell you now. Obviously, the games is not going to happen anymore." And I remember, like I said, thinking, like, yeah, I'm going to get there. And then obviously I think it sunk in about a week later that I couldn't walk for about 4 to 6 weeks, that I thought, well, this is probably not it's not going to happen. So yeah, unfortunately, sat and watched the games from home. Had kind of 18 months of no exercise. Then I went down to Bisham Abbey, which is a rehab unit in London. Spent 10 months there, and then January 2018, I rejoined the team at British Cycling. A year later, having kind of been on the track for just over a year, I got back to World Cup and World Champs in 2019. And yeah, just we didn't perform. We were okay, not great, but obviously I was obviously super grateful to have got to that point. But was very
Can we just assess that? I think you said it took you about a week to even be able to sit up in 2016, and then in 2018 you were cycling at a World Championships.
at 2019.
And you were
Yeah.
sorry, 2019. You like, is that not just insane? Just even you say you're slightly disappointed with that, but like most people would take an entire lifetime to be able to get anywhere near like that elite level sport, and you've gone from not even being able to sit up to performing at that level in 3 years. That's just, even if it's not maybe the outcome, that's just unreal to be able to bounce back. That's not a bounce, is it? But to get back from that in itself is just a huge accolade.
Thank you. No, like I said, I was very much it was a mixed bag of emotions when I was at that World Champs. It was very much, I was kind of getting swarmed by like all the journalists and the media and everyone, all the other riders and stuff. Well, it's so good to see you back, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I know it sounds like bad for me to say it, but I was so disappointed because I felt I'd underperformed that, it was like, I get it that I'd achieved very much, I've achieved so much by getting to that stage. But at the same time, I was left like in a place where I thought, but I don't just want to participate. I want to win. I don't just want to be here to make the numbers up. And I think that's all along has been something which has kept me striving and very much kept me going, is that I don't just want to just make the team or just make the start line. Like, I want to be competitive, and I think that's again why I'm where I am today. So yeah, like I said, that was kind of a weird experience for me. Although I was happy, I was also disappointed. And then in the September 2019, we found out that there was only going to be one place for women for Tokyo for the women's sprint. For GB, which obviously Katie Marchant was going to take. So I was kind of in a position where, my back wasn't great at this point. I had no chance of making Tokyo. And next thing you know, quite literally 4 weeks later, I was out on ice and was part of the GB Bobsleigh team.
So you thought, you know what, I've borderline almost had a life-changing injury on a bike. And you thought, you know what, I'm actually just going to slide down a massive hill in a sled on some ice now. I've not tempted enough, mate. Let's just push it a little bit more.
So yeah, like I ended up on the bobsleigh circuit. I kind of went down to Bath and went to testing, and pushed pretty well. Obviously, having not really done it, it was just kind of my raw power and strength. And then next minute I kind of got the email that said, look, do you want to come out onto ice? And next thing you know, I was literally stood quivering at the top of a bobsleigh track, getting ready to push a heavy sled literally down a straight hill.
That is absolutely nuts. Although I will say, so that's a brilliant overview. There is the sort of slight overlap you can sort of see with those sports of both being massive power sports and like huge adrenaline rushes. That's obviously says about you as a person, that the adrenaline of sport is something that gets you hooked. And I think like a lot of people can relate to that, whether you're about to start in a GB outfit in a World Championships, or you're about to go do your 5K park run. That start line adrenaline is something that is such a key aspect of sport, and a lot of people love that getting pumped feeling. And that start line feeling, what is it that you do to get yourself absolutely pumped to go 100%? whether hurtling yourself down a nice track, which begs believe why you'd want to do it anyway, but to do that, or to race around a track, what is that? Can you explain that start line feeling and how you get yourself prepped for that?
So for me, it's like I have a very fine line of kind of being almost having too much adrenaline and too much caffeine, and mixed with like a high arousal level. It's kind of a very fine balance for me that if I have too much caffeine on race day, it will send me over the edge. So it's kind of about, gradually getting pumped up and stuff, but then coming to the start line where you're in a position where you're actually pretty relaxed. I know some power athletes need to be super, like I said, super up there and almost shaking and very much have like a very high arousal. But for me, I have that inside, but when I get to the start line, I need to be calm in order for me to execute everything well. I don't know if you feel the same, whether you've had I think it's a very fine balance. Like going to training is very different for me than a competition. So when I need to turn up, I do see like a massive increase in my arousal levels, and I don't actually need much caffeine because otherwise I'll literally be on the start line with heart palpitations.
Well, I would be on the start line with heart palpitations without anything if I was looking down the ice track, 100%. So you're saying like on training, like give me all the caffeine, pump up, go for it, and then maybe on race day you
just
peel
kind
it back
of
a little bit.
ease off a little bit, and just make sure that I'm very much like I like to plan my warm up and stuff the day before, so I have like a list of timings that I just put on the notes on my phone, so I know, here's when I need to walk out to the track, and then literally work backwards from there, so that the only thing that I have to think about is getting my body in the best position and getting fired up, basically.
So do you think your heritage in cycling like prepared you for like race day in bobsleigh as well? Is it do you have a similar sort of process on race day?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that I like order anyway, kind of routine and planning. And I think with my training, I as long as I've got a training program and know what I'm doing, I'm very much content. And I think it's the same on race day, as long as I'm kind of organized the night before, packed everything. I mean, I'm sure a lot of athletes are in the same position. I can't just pack my bag on the morning of a race. I get everything prepped the day before and make sure that I can literally go into autopilot on race day and not have any, oh shit, are my numbers in my bag? Shit, are my spikes in my bag? And all that kind of thing. I mean, I will double check the bag, but obviously that everything that is very much in there. And I think, I've definitely brought that over from cycling, but I guess anyone who's in elite sport will have that kind of routine pre game day. I'm sure you've have it where you kind of
honestly, I've had more nightmares about forgetting kit or being late for the bus than I have about like actual scary things. Like there are so many more scary things out there, but me forgetting my gum shield or being late for the team bus, God, that is a new level of fear. That isn't it? Like I just can't. That's next level. And I'm so jealous that you're not needing all the caffeine in the pump up. Like I honestly need like house music at 110% volume in my ears until the whistle blows, just to get me there. Just to get me there. So like, God forbid what I would need to get myself down a track. I'm jealous of that. If I've not got coffee access on game day, that's it. It's all gone tits up. Going into your injury and how you dealt with that, and obviously like you were saying before about just getting back was never good enough. And I guess that comes from like the mentality of an athlete. You don't do it to turn up, you do it to win. And yes, your body was injured, but your brain would have stayed the same athlete that you always were. And that drive to win and succeed will have stayed with you no matter what your body was going through, really. And sport breeds resilience, and especially as like this semi-pro / elite but unpaid athlete world that a lot of female athletes find themselves in, and other amateur sports find themselves in, it really has to breed an internal level of resilience within you to just keep going against all odds kind of thing. And do you think the fact that you have had to juggle and work around quite a few barriers in your sport. Did that help you with your comeback from your injury, because you sort of had quite a high base level of resilience?
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's very much made me who I am today, and the athlete that I am today. It's kind of just given me a different outlook, a different perspective, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't throw my all into it by any means, but it's just kind of given me this outlook that anything that I achieve now is a bonus, because technically I shouldn't even be walking. And it's something that even now, as I'm saying it, I literally got annoyed in the gym this morning because I didn't go as heavy as I wanted to on front squats. But I'm like, it's something that I have to keep reminding myself of, that I have surpassed anything that I guess people thought were possible. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I don't want to achieve more. So I think it's just a different outlook and mindset that can use to my advantage. Effectively, there is no pressure, even though there is pressure. There's no pressure, because again, I've kind of overcome and got to this point, which is way further than anyone thought I would. But as well, it's that kind of resilience when you're in that position where, again, I take it for granted sometimes, where I couldn't walk and I couldn't even dress myself, I couldn't shower myself. You just go through the motions and the recovery just happened. People ask me, oh, it must have been horrific, and it was bad, but I just got up and got on with it, just as I guess people do with struggles in their their everyday life. You just get up and get on with it, and it's almost like it is a big blur.
There's struggles. There's struggles, and then there's breaking your neck, your back, and dislocating your pelvis. There's there's different levels of struggle. So yeah, that's pretty cool that you managed to do that.
It was just like, I just kind of got up and literally, it sounds bad, but I just went through the motions and got on with it. I think because I knew that I couldn't do anything else. The only thing I could do was wake up each day and try to improve, I guess. And similar, it's the same now. So.
And I guess being an athlete most of your life, you're always looking for those marginal gains, and sport definitely breeds that competitive nature within yourself of oh, I want to beat my time last time, I want to beat my 1 rep max or whatever it is. And so when you're going through tough times, if you just sort of tap into that athlete within you of, right, all I need to be is better than what I was yesterday, all I need to do is recover better than I did last time, or finding those little gains, it can keep you on track. Because sometimes when you step back and you look at that bigger picture of what, I can't even imagine what it felt like being injured, and looking at the bigger picture of, I can't go to the games anymore or whatever, but then scaling it down to right, okay, next job, okay, what's my rehab today, what's the program look like for the next week, what are my targets? So I can imagine that really helped mentally keep you on track and just moving forward, rather than succumbing to the overarching size of what you were.
Yeah, when you step back, how am I going to do it? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
A massive part of the whole process was it was very much take each step as it came, and it was very much, again, kind of, you only see a snippet of things on social media, and to the outside my journey might appear like I've gone from injury to this, but obviously it has very much been up and down, and there have been times when my back's been really bad. I have to do quite a lot of maintenance and stuff now. I've had to have injections. And well, for instance, I've just spent the last 6 or 7 weeks down in Oxford at the Bosworth Clinic, just doing rehab and just bringing everything back again, because I'd kind of let the season go on, and a niggle here, a niggle there, and before you know it, I'm in a really unstable position. So it's kind of, I've started off this season stripping everything back, and I've now got a great foundation now to build on again for the summer.
I think that's a really cool thing with sport. It's it's not just the getting out there and performing on the day, but it's the technical aspects of right, how are we going to build? It's like building a house. You build your foundations, and everything from there up should go well if you get your start point right. But there's so many different elements of sport you can build on, and you can be quite meticulous with it, or you can have fun with it, or it depends what your outcomes are. But it's, if you enjoy process, you can create quite cool processes around developing your athletic ability. And you say about having ups and downs along what from an outsider might have thought was quite a smooth journey, but when you were potentially having little bits of the down moments, what were like the key motivators that like really like pulled you through there? Was it people like friends and family, or that eye on potentially making a GB squad again, or maybe the next stage in your rehab? What was it that you thought, right, that's going to get me through?
Again, obviously, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for like a really strong support network. I'm very much, I've got very good friends and family, that, shout out to all of them. I won't start trying to list everyone, but you know who you are. And as well, I think it is looking ahead to that end goal. Again, so if I'm, slogging away through a session and I'm really struggling, I've got no energy, or I wake up at, I don't automatically think, but I'm pushing to the Olympics, but it's just something that's just inside you. It's difficult to explain, and I've done a few podcasts before and tried to explain it, but it's that inner feeling. There's just something in you that you just know that you just get up and get on with it. It sounds easy, but it's something that I think athletes do take for granted. It's just, it's very much an innate behavior that you just, that there is no option unless you genuinely are injured, obviously at the time, then you just get up and you just push on.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think maybe that underdog / prove people wrong mentality played a part in your motivation as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. It was very much, I remember kind of early days, just the odd kind of one-liners stuck in my head, where it just, random sort of surgeons, not my surgeon from the UK, but someone in Holland, I remember saying, she'll never ride again. She'll be lucky to walk again. And just, these snippets kind of along my journey just stay in my head. And I really just want to get to that final stage, just to fully, complete the comeback and just prove to myself and to everyone else and all my family and those that, anything is possible if you put your mind to it. As cheesy as that is, but honestly, if I can complete, the task that I want to do it and make it to an Olympic Games, and obviously I want to get there and be competitive, then for me that's the proof that kind of the never give up attitude. If you want something, you can get it, basically.
You just got to be determined as hell. Are you one of those physio's nightmares where they say, oh, this will take about 6 weeks, and you're like, I'll do it in 4? Just one of those, just whatever they say, it's like, right, well, take off 20% and we'll see.
Yeah.
I think you've got to be a little bit. I think every athlete has that edge to them, especially when
yeah, definitely
you're working with fine margins, and like your sport is about getting those like 1% here and there to get yourself over the line. Like being competitive in everything you do is always going to help. And even if it's like competitive with your recovery, like I'm going to recover better than anyone else here, like that's always going to help you.
It's, like I said, it's very much, it's just that innate behavior as an athlete. I think it's just you either have it or you don't. I don't know.
Do you think that this is this like, so nature versus nurture? Do you think some people are born athletes, or they can turn into them dependent on their environment?
Actually, yeah, I think again I guess a lot of things when you grow up, I guess how you've been brought up maybe, or who you're around and who influences you. But it's actually interesting. I wouldn't actually know, to be honest. I wouldn't know which way to go with it, but I do believe that kind of every athlete at the top level has got that kind of that behavior, which it might be innate or learned. I don't know, but it's just like, for me, again, who knows, if I wouldn't have crashed, I don't know whether I'd have the same drive and motivation that I do now. It'd be interesting to see the kind of me now if I hadn't crashed, and the me now, and just see the comparison.
Yeah, for sure. Do you reckon that in a kind of weird way, are you like borderline grateful for it
Yeah,
because
no,
it's turned you into
again, it's something that I've said. I said it quite a lot early days, particularly when I kind of just first got back to the squad back in 2018. And although I curse about my aching back and everything, every other day, at the same time, it's made me who I am today, and it's given me new levels of pain, which is in the sense of now I can kind of push through barriers, and I feel I can dig deeper into that hole, as well as it's just given me that more, that higher level of motivation, I guess, in order to get back. Yeah.
um so there's obviously, but like with some sports there's like safety concerns. Rugby is not the safest, cycling can be dangerous, and bobsleigh is borderline insanity. But do you think, obviously there's risks that come with all of these sports, but as an athlete, um, getting involved in sports, so if you were to have children, would the safety concerns within sport, would that ever be a worry to you, or was it ever a worry to you growing up, or was it more about, look, I could bloody walk across the road and get hit by a bus, but what I'm going to gain from sport, it massively outweighs like potential injury implications?
Yeah. Again, for me, obviously, the injury that I've had in cycling is very much a rogue one. People don't usually crash to this level and come away with these level of injuries. So safety for me in cycling has never been an issue. And again, for any children I have in the future, I wouldn't have an issue with them doing that. With rugby and stuff, obviously I've got friends and things that have had sort of concussions and quite bad head injuries, but I think from what I've gathered, there's kind of concussion protocols and stuff being put in, sort of, or better things been put in place, would you say, for
Yeah, there's
that kind of
yeah,
thing?
yeah, they definitely, concussion is probably obviously the most worrying one in rugby,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
there's a lot of research around it, and so many with like the HIA stuff that they do around the sport now. There's a lot of protocols put in place to keep you as safe as possible. But
Yeah.
personally, um, I just think what can be gained from sport, socially, physically, mentally, massively outweigh any of the injury. Like it would never. It's not something that crosses my mind, but it's interesting to see from other people's perspective of, would you would it ever worry you about getting, like, how do you feel about bobsleigh? So that's a little bit more
Yeah, but
on
no,
the danger
bobsleigh
side.
is different. Yeah, like I said, I do stand at the top of a run and think, oh my god, it's very much a lot more nerve wracking than what cycling was. Just because it is literally, again, as mad as it sounds, it's just a vertical hill of just ice. So again, maybe I think if I had like a loved one or something doing bobsleigh, I think I would be like very much like that watching. I remember watching, I'm really good friends with the driver Mish, and I remember when I was back at Christmas and was injured, I remember sat at home watching the World Cup, and I was just like, it is, when you watch it, it is madness. But she is a very talented driver, so touch wood, there's crashes don't happen.
But overall, like that adrenaline feeling, like, has got to outweigh any concerns, or you wouldn't do
Yeah,
it, I
yeah, no, it
guess.
does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back on cycling. So obviously you were picked up Girls for Gold. I won't say that you beat me, but you did a little bit, and 2,999 other people, but that's fine. Um, Obviously the last year, lockdown, limited socializing options, uh, became everyone became cyclists. I think everyone I know
Yeah,
was going out
yeah.
on a bike. There was the cycling boom. Do you think that maybe a potential positive outcome of COVID is that maybe cycling has become more accessible for people of all ages and all experiences and all levels, and maybe in the future there might be less of a need for these talent ID programs, because there might just be a base level, like a higher interest in cycling?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a lot of people, or for a lot of people, suddenly they had the time to do exercise. And I think, you know, that's very much, or from what I can see, a constraint of a lot of people is the time. And, you know, people say, well, you know, you make time, but it is difficult. Like my housemate, he owns a salon, and, you know, he leaves the house at sort of 8 a.m. and gets back at 8 p.m. And it's like, unless you go early doors or late in the evening, that, you know, there's no time. So I think that was, again, during lockdown, people had the time to exercise. Suddenly they had the energy, they wanted fresh air. And yeah, I think it can only have a positive effect on kind of numbers and participation going forward, now that people have, again, everyone's got the bug. And I think, again, things like the women's tour, now it's, you know, not only things like the Tour de France, which is obviously just for men, there's women's tours now which are starting. And again, all of this is just helping to not only increase participation, but also, again, getting more women into the sport.
Yeah, definitely. And having the visibility of those athletes out there as well will be key, because some people might be inspired to just go out and get on their bike because it's a bit of fun and it was all we could do for like the last year. But younger girls, they want to see those role models, and they want to say, I want to be the next Victoria Pendleton, I want to be the next, etc. You know, they need those people out there in the footsteps so that you can follow in them, because it's really difficult to be an entrepreneur, shall we say, in your sport if no one else has done it, or you can't see where you can go with it.
Yeah,
I do think there's obviously COVID has not been great to say the least, but I do think in terms of sport participation, activity levels, everyone, because we could go out for a walk, people were suddenly doing like 5, 6, 7 walks a week. It was great, and people wanted to go outside because it was the only thing they could do. And hopefully that is something going forward into the new normal. People are aware of getting out and about, and taking exercise was something that maybe kept them going through quite a difficult period, and hopefully they can continue on with it. And it would be great to be able to buy a bike that doesn't have an 18-week wait list on Halfords.
I know, honestly, I was just about to say, I mean, I've got my road bikes over here at the minute, but I wanted a road bike in lockdown and I couldn't get one. Honestly, it was a nightmare. I mean, I'm lucky what bike have given me this, kind of towards the back end of lockdown last year. But again, it's, you want to get out and get fresh air, but the road bike demand was mad.
Honestly, it was insane. Like Facebook Marketplace, they were going, it was literally like Bitcoin or road bikes. I don't know what was worth more last summer. Genuinely, it was going off.
Same with gym.
I did one
stuff as well. It was bikes and weights and home gym stuff. I think if you managed to get some.
People started wearing like concrete slabs, and they were like, "This concrete slab weighs 15 kgs. Who wants it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, take my money."
Yes,
it's outrageous.
A weightlifting platform in my car parking space with plywood, which again I had to wait for from B&Q, and just made a weightlifting platform so I didn't damage the car parking space.
Yeah, you should have put that on your list. Use a weightlifting platform builder, cyclist, bobsleigh, all of it. You should put that. If you wanted to make a bit of money being a part-time athlete, you should have. I'll build you a squat rack. You would have made it absolutely.
I used the bins, actually, the wheelie bins for quite a bit until the squat rack came.
I did see a bit of that. I saw a few of those and some scaffolding stuff going on with a few people. Honestly, it killed me a bit. I did go on one bike ride, got hit by a car, cancel. So that was enough for me.
God, no.
I won't compare it to any of your endeavours. So looking forward for you, what are in the next couple of years, or 3 or 4 years, what would you like to achieve for you to say, you know what, I'm happy with that?
Obviously the first instance is to get to the games. That's obviously my first goal. And then after that, I guess I'll kind of reassess and see where my body's at, if I can push for another Olympic cycle or not. But I'd like to think I can. But again, it's one of those. It's, you know, I'll assess where I'm at and go from there. And again, if I don't make the games, then it's again something to look at then. But for me, it's just about staying healthy in one piece, looking after my body, but also getting the absolute maximum out of it at the same time. So which path that leads me down, we're yet to find out, but we'll see.
Do you reckon you got one more talent transfer in you? Bit of rugby?
Maybe not rugby. I'm mates with Amy Wilson Hardy, who's on the Sevens program, and she has said I wouldn't last a minute on the rugby field, and I think I can back that up. As soon as someone hits my right QL, I'd be on the floor.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I do take that back. I forget.
I mean,
I thought you meant you'd be scared. I was like, honestly, what you do is way more scary than rugby, but I forgot. Yeah, that's
if I had any impact, it would be I'd be out. If I could avoid everyone and be that fast that I could run with the ball and no one touch me, then maybe. But any change of direction or anything out of this plane is also not good.
Okay, we'll chuck you on the wing and hope no one
I'll
touches
be the
you.
water boy. That sounds the best bet for.
Hey, you do need to be quick for water boys, like sometimes like we're desperate, you've got to get there. Did you know what chub rub is, right? That was one of my questions.
Is it like leg chafe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just
I thought
so I was like, is this like a rugby word? Because also I like literally look at a bike and I get chub rub. So surely you know about that. I don't know how you deal with it.
No, it's
just as soon as I'm on that bike.
But again, when you wear shorts, it's a no-go.
Yeah. You get one of those like full lycra suits, don't you? They're nice. I like them.
Yeah, no, they're
I can't be rocking up to Wasp's gym with a full lycra suit and just come doing a bike session. Can you imagine? Okay, quick fire questions, which may not be that quick, but they will be all fire. What is your start line pump up song, or pump down if you don't want to be too OTT?
Anything Cardi B, I would say. I'll go.
Love that. Which is the best one?
Get Up 10 is a good one.
Nice. And you know all the words?
Yeah, I actually do. I mean, I'm not going to rap, but I do know the words.
And my next question on the quickfire round is perform it. No, I'm messing. Okay, give up meat or give up dairy?
Ooh, dairy, I think. I honestly, sorry to all you vegans and vegetarians out there, but I do love meat.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Top advice to 10-year-old Vic?
Again, a bit cheesy, but never give up, basically.
I think you took that already. Okay, chub rub or blisters?
I'd have to say blisters because the chub rub is bad. It's bad.
It is bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is really bad. Although blisters can be like really debilitating. Like you're walking like I've dislocated an ankle. You're like, what's wrong with that? I've got a cracking blister. Okay. David Beckham or David Attenborough?
It has to be Beckham, but I do love Attenborough. If we can have Attenborough voiceover, but Beckham, how about that? The best of both.
What do you mean? You don't want David Beckham's brain? I thought that's what he was known for. Okay, your most used emoji and give us an impression.
Oh God, it's the half slanted laughing face. You know, the one which is like the extreme laughing face, which is literally like that.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, nice.
Literally.
That's the one.
If I put that, I find something funny, basically.
That's a real lol. I thought you were going to go boring, go thumbs up and just do this. And
no, that's in a mood. If you get the thumbs up, that's thanks. For me.
Cool. Heads up to anyone texting you. If she gives you a thumbs up, mate, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Dream job outside of sport.
Outside of sport, something to do with sort of events, marketing or management or sports agency work. Something along those. I mean, that's very vague, but something along those lines, I would say. And
you will be judged. Death row final meal. What's it going to be?
A Thai takeaway, or just anything Oriental. That kind of vibe, I think. With
nice, just like one everything. What's the dessert?
Cookies or cookie dough, definitely.
Strong. That is a strong one. When you retire from the elite life, what about it will you miss, and which bits are you happy to say see you bye to?
So the bits that I would miss would be the team environment, everyone kind of getting behind each other, cheering each other on. I guess the routine and planning side of things. So kind of knowing that, this is what your next 3 months looks like, and you almost can, exactly what you're doing on each day near enough for like an extended period of time. And I guess with sort of life outside sport, it won't be that clear cut. And I'm someone that works quite well off a routine and things. Not that you kind of wouldn't have a standard 9 to 5, but that would be something that I would miss. I guess that euphoric feeling of when you achieve something, or when you finish a rep, or when you hit a PB, or when you have a really good session, just that feeling of, I don't know, I'm sure you've had it, like you just feel really, really great. And it's something, in sport, you drive and you chase those little moments where you have like a mini triumph along the way.
Yeah, like as an athlete, you're 100% like addicted to success along the
Yeah,
way. It's
yeah. And
huge
you,
fun.
again, the little wins, it's about taking those small wins. And I guess the only thing that I won't miss will be that, I guess, sort of the internal pressure at times that you kind of put on yourself to perform. But again, if without that, I guess you could argue that you wouldn't be successful as an athlete. But again, at times it's that sort of the voice in the back of your head that's telling you that you need to, it's not good enough and you need more, and that at times can be difficult to manage. So I guess that's the only thing that I definitely probably won't miss.
So post elite life, when you're not racing down any ice hills anymore, are there any other sports that you'd like to, just from a social point of view, just give a crack?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I think I'll still keep, fit and stuff and go to the gym. I'll definitely, probably, well, most likely have a crack at CrossFit. How long I'll last being a power athlete, I don't know. But I did play a lot of hockey and stuff at school, hockey, netball and lacrosse. And I guess they're sort of team sports, so you get that team environment and stuff. And it's something that I really enjoy. So be a case of finding local clubs and teams I can be a part of. Obviously Sports Side is a great app and something that I will use to get involved in that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And like you're saying, some people may not have played sport since they were back at school, and getting back into the swing of sport, the first place to look, I wouldn't, if I wanted to step into another sport, I don't even know where I'd go. So having access to something like Sportside is brilliant, because it just matches you with where you want to go and what teams you want to be a part of. And sometimes that can be quite a daunting thing as an adult, to get back into sport when you maybe haven't been involved in team sport or social sport since you were at school. And just to break down those barriers of where to find it, Sportside is just the perfect starting place for that. So earlier you mentioned about having like that sort of like voice in your head, and when you're like competing with yourself about, that wasn't good enough, or you need to be better, or so and so's doing the XYZ. How did you cope with the mental aspect of sport, and did you ever do any work with any psychologists? I know Steve Peters did wrote about the Chimp Paradox, and like controlling that voice in your head and like making it work for you. What aspects of like the mental battles of sport have you found been difficult, or ways of overcoming them during your time?
Unfortunately, I literally just missed out on the era of Steve Peters. So as I kind of came onto the academy program and came up to Manchester full time, was just around the 2012 mark. So obviously everyone was kind of gearing towards London, and then I think he left not long after the London Games, I think it was, or just after London. So I've not directly worked with him as such, but I've read the Chimp Paradox, and it's a great book and a great kind of view on how to manage your, I guess, your mental thoughts. But again, I talk about this kind of innate behavior, and it's kind of just I just go through the motions, and at the times when I do struggle, again, it's just that sense of feeling and that kind of drive to that larger goal, which just makes me just crack on, basically.
Yeah, just that higher purpose.
Yeah.
That the Chimp Paradox thing, you definitely, it's that the mentality of like, yeah, you've got that voice in your head, but if you can control it and then keep an eye on what you're saying, like your higher purpose and where you're going to get, and you can almost use that sort of negative voice as a motivator. You said before about like maybe the underdog or like proving people wrong feeling, that you can actually potentially use that voice as leverage to push yourself further.
Definitely. And I think it's at times when I am down, I do think, oh God, everything does link back to the crash, and it does link back to, the issues and troubles that I have when I'm training and stuff are very much linked to my injuries. But at the same time, I think, again, like you say, it's about flipping it and switching it to the positive and being like, well, actually, if I wouldn't have had those injuries, would I be pushing as hard now? Would I be the first one in the gym and the last one out? And would I have that higher work ethic? If I hadn't crashed, would I have that higher work ethic? Who knows? But
and it's a brilliant way to be, to like spin something like that could have been career ending, really, but it's career creating. That it's driven you to be more than you maybe could have ever been before. And your story is just ridiculous in how it's changing. Got back to performing on the world stage, and then you've just jumped from one elite sport to another. It just shows like your character as an athlete, but then the perseverance you put in with your body as well to be able to do that. Like you say, if you hadn't had your injury, would you have had that extra edge to go that far? Which is just hugely impressive that you've managed to turn that narrative around.